Hey guys, this is Anastasia Autumnfire, and this video is for the May full moon incense. The May full moon is on May 10th this year, and it is in Scorpio. And the name that I most resonate with in regards to this specific moon is the flower moon. I think it makes sense to me. This is the time of year, according to the Farmer's Almanac, where flowers are popping up out of the ground in the greatest abundance. So again, I get it. But I mean, when you're a kid, you hear, April showers bring May flowers. I don't know about anyone else, but I know when I was in first grade, we made May Day baskets to give to people. And for me, on a personal note, I had two grandfathers that both were gardeners. My grandpa Ray would plant flowers that my grandma Marie would tell him to plant because that's my grandma Marie. But my grandpa Alan, he was an avid and passionate gardener. And the thing that I really realized when I was thinking about this video and kind of plotting it out was how he approached gardening is very much how I approach my spiritual path. Especially since it was like an all year round thing. In summertime, he would be outside constantly. You're outside tending to the gardens, you're watering it, you're feeding it with fertilizer and kind of keeping track of how this plant is doing versus that plant, and maybe these should be moved next year, and maybe these you just want to leave out, but you take note of what works and what doesn't. During the summer, for me, I am outside quite a bit. And I take note of, this practice really helps me to meditate. This one, not so much. I really journal best when I'm doing this, that, and the other thing. If I'm, and I've tried certain practices and just absolutely not. I will never try that again. It doesn't work for me, at least not at this point in my path. And then when fall would come, he would start to take notice and say, okay, so these plants I need to bring in because I can transplant them and care for them inside. These plants, they can stay outside, but I need to cover them up and care for them a little bit differently. And there are other flowers and plants that are just going to be gone and they should come back next year. And yet another group of plants where, hey, you're going to be gone and there is no getting you back. I'm going to have to either replant you completely or not, or go with a different plant next year. And when fall comes, that's very much me. I'm looking at my spiritual path and going, okay, this is what I brought into manifestation. This is what I can maybe try to eke out before the dark of the year comes, before Samhain happens. I can try to get a few more manifestations underway. But ultimately, this is kind of wrapping it up. How do I want to proceed into the dark of the year? What practices do I want to keep? What do I want to leave behind? It's kind of that plotting on how is the winter going to go. And then for my grandfather in the winter months, he'd have all the flowers inside. The entire basement would be packed to the gills with pots and soil and these little seedlings all over the place. And, in wintertime, I apologize to everyone who has to deal with the mess that I make because I'm inside, so I craft quite a bit, and I've got herbs all over the place and wax all over the place. This year I've been trying not to craft as much just because I've been trying to really focus on quiet and knowledge and focusing on the internal. But it's still amazing what things you kind of add up or build up over the dark of the year. But then as winter starts winding down, he would start planning, okay, so I can start transplanting these around this time. These are the seed catalogs and these are the seeds I've ordered and I've been caring for them over the winter. So now these I can bring out at this time. And, he would know the certain time frame when he could take the blankets and towels off of the plants that he kept outside but was trying to keep warm, and he just seemed to always know the right time to start this developing of his garden. And that happened because of years of practice and cultivating that and honing in on when the right time was for things. And I find for myself, that's kind of Imbolc and Ostar for me. Okay, so Imbolc, this is the time to kind of cleanse and purify and just get rid of that gunk and really see clearly what is it that I need to work on in the summer. What is it I need to work on and bring into the light during the light of the year? What is it that maybe I've solved over the winter and I can put on the back burner? Or maybe even what have I been trying to work on and it just needs to be let go of. It's not happening. You know, you should, I at least am constantly kind of going through that evaluation stage. But it seems like fall and spring are the two major times when it really hits home. And then with Ostara, because for some reason Imbolc and Ostara really do have these key elements for me. Ostara is when, okay, I've evaluated, I've cleansed. Now is the point where I go, I know I want to do this, I know I want to do this, and I know I want to do this. So you start working on that manifestation, you start working on that intent, you start planting those seeds, which is what my grandfather would be doing around this time. If he was still with us during Ostara, he would be planting and transplanting and getting things out into the ground. And then when May would hit, you would start to see these tulips peek out, and you would see these lilies pop out of the ground, and these wonderful flowers would start blossoming all over. And that is what is kind of happening right now, at least in my spiritual path. These things that I've kind of put out there, good, bad, or ugly, because sometimes you put something into the ground and you know, sweetie, you can mean for it to be this beautiful, beautiful rose bush, but all of a sudden the roses kind of aren't coming out, but the thorns are bitches. And the plant is still blossoming. You still manifested this thing. It's just you kind of have to get through the bad to get to the good. And so never, something that I am especially learning this year is never be discouraged by what it is that is brought into manifestation, because there will always be something to learn from it. There will always be something to guide you with it. And you will always have someone or many people to guide you through that. And really thank you to those that have commented on the last few videos I've done and really given me support. I thank you so much, because it has meant so much to me. But yeah, sometimes what you manifest, you think this is how it's going to turn out. Magic has its way of doing whatever it wants to do. You can put the intent out there and it'll get around to it, but it may not come about in the way that you intend. The manifestation will be the same result, but it might take a bit longer. It might be a bit of a different process than you expect. And that was certainly something that my grandfather dealt with many plants that he would plant. You know, he would expect them to look this way or that way, and they pop up and it's like, oh my gosh, that is not the color it's supposed to be. So you can always be a bit surprised by manifestation. But anyway, back on track, Anna. Sorry, I'm trying desperately not to sidetrack myself, and I'm doing horrible with it. But yeah, that's kind of the phase that he would be going into right now, is seeing these things that he's worked tirelessly on and focused on and really put every ounce of himself into. He would see them now starting to pop up and come to fruition. And that is there for us as well. If we look, we can start to see the buds popping up on things that we want to be bringing into this place. The trick is now, when we start to see those signs, is we still need to act. We still need to be watering that garden. We still need to be caring for it, fertilizing it, giving it the tender loving care that it needs. I know for me, a lot of times I get excited by, okay, I want X, Y, and Z to happen. And I start to see X, Y, and Z happening. And oh, yay, it's manifesting. I'm good. And then I kind of rest and I sit back because it's coming into fruition. What else do I need to do? Well, sweetie, you need to keep working at it. You need to keep going with it. Manifestation is great, but we need to keep acting for it to continue and for us to maintain that creation. But yeah, that's really what May is about for me. May really is about seeing things starting to develop and starting to see that creation come about. According to Magical Recipes Online, this time of year is good for, or this moon, I'm sorry, this moon is good for really kind of that same vein, taking that action, embracing and encouraging creativity, embracing and encouraging fertility, really just embracing and encouraging life in and of itself. Life is bursting out everywhere right now, and this moon, the flower moon, is a great time to connect to that energy, connect to that creation, and find some way to take part in that creation. Observing is a wonderful, great thing to do, but to actually take part and join in is really the name of the game, I think, during this time of year. During this time of year especially, I think throughout the year, we should be taking part and playing the game a bit more. This year, the moon is in Scorpio. With Scorpio, according to Luna's grimoire, you want to look at maybe doing some workings that deal with kind of the deeper side of things, looking at the mysticism, the magic, the other realms, delving a bit more into the occult practices and rituals. Scorpio also has that connection to sex magic, which I think is echoed with the time of year because we have Beltane, the Great Rite, all of that, that kind of sensuality is all over the place. So definitely something to take heed of, but also if you are someone that does partake in that, in those acts and those rituals, it's a great time for that as well. So what did I put in my incense? Of course, I had a list and I said it somewhere. There it is. Yay. So here is my blend. In it, I have it charging with a selenite chunk, a rainbow moonstone, which is my favorite moonstone. I also love black moonstone, but rainbow moonstone I just adore. And then I have an emerald. Emerald for me, well, emerald traditionally connects to good luck, good fortune. It brings about successful love. For me, it really helps with manifestation. It connects to the Empress card in the tarot deck, so kind of that Earth Mother feel and fertility, and that I definitely wanted to connect to this blend. And yeah, so that was why I included that. So here is, there we go. Here is the incense blend. In it, to connect to the lunar energies, we have rose, lemon peel, jasmine, apple, white willow, sandalwood, and then I added violet to connect to really encouraging those creative energies. It also connects to love. For me, it connects to the Fae. And it also, for me, is about comfort and peace. It is a flower that is traditionally used with grieving a child's loss, and that is a kind of comfort I think that is just, there are no words to have the properties to try to comfort someone in such a time as that. I think is astounding. And for some reason, that level of comfort I'm just feeling a need for right now. So I wanted to include that. And then I added poppy seed. Poppy seed for me really delves with that darker side of things. It is a good seed. It is a good herb or seed or what have you, traditionally for fertility. It works with divination. But for me, it does delve a bit deeper. It works with a bit of those mysteries. It helps with dreams. It helps with psychic connection and really connection to the divine and other energies, period. So I wanted to include that, especially with the connection to Scorpio with this moon. And then for the flower moon specific, I actually kind of went a little off kilter here. Usually I add 4 items. That includes oil. Oh, and the oil to connect to the lunar is gardenia, as always. Normally I add 4 items, and that does include oil. This time I added the 4 items, and I just added the oil that I was going to use for the flower moon, so it should have been done. And I sat there and I was like, nope, something's missing. So I actually added a 5th. So this is, I believe, the first, and I could be wrong in that, but I think this is the first lunar blend I've made that is 14 items instead of 13 items. But I think that's true in any crafting. Whenever you make something, if you can't get it out of your head that you're missing something, go back and figure it out. Because no matter how many correspondences you have, no matter how many, nope, I only want to use 9 because 9 is the number of the triple goddess, and that is just what I do. But if something is nagging at you that you need to add another thing, that working with that intuition, I am finding more and more that is what needs to be listened to. So I did add another element because I couldn't get it out of my head. So first I'll go through what I put in with the traditional, and I'll reveal the mystery element that had to be put in. I added first vervain for protection, purification, money, youth. I thought it was good to add that to honor the youth because right now the Lord and Lady are in their youthful stages. Healing, prosperity, help to prevent and aid with depression. Vervain also helps nourish and bring about creativity. It is a sacred herb and a favored honoring for Caradwyn, who is a goddess of creativity. So I thought that was kind of perfect. Then I also added hawthorn berry. Hawthorn berry is a preferred and sacred offering for the Fae. And Beltane, of course, is very close to this moon, so I thought to include a little offering for them as well. We've got fertility with hawthorn berry. It also helps to symbolize rebirth. It helps with success. It is said to repel evil spirits and helps to remove negativity. Then I added bead pollen. Bee pollen is good for love, happiness, friendship. It is said to help prevent or care for depression as well. For me, bee pollen also very much connects to the bee totem. The bumblebee totem, which is just kind of a funny phrase to say, bumblebee totem. But the bumblebee totem is one of fertility. It is one for productivity and energy. It is good for manifestation. It is good for sensuality. It is good for bringing warmth. It is good for it's good for that hard worker ethic. and bringing about that action. So determination, that's a good word for it. So I liked adding those energies to this as well. And then the oil that I used was honeysuckle oil. Again, kind of connects to that bee totem a bit, I find. It also helps to draw money, success. It aids with quick abundance, aids in persuasiveness, confidence. It helps to sharpen intuition and enhance psychic abilities. I love the smell of honeysuckle in incense. I absolutely do. I do not have any of the flower right now, so I did settle for the oil, but as soon as I can get my hands on some flowers, oh my gosh, I'm going to be so happy. And then the fifth item that I added, because I could not get it out of my head, was frankincense. I've been working a lot with air as an element. Frankincense is correspondence to the air. It is good for manifestation, bringing things from thought into the physical realm or from the divine into the physical realm. And that property alone was really what I just couldn't get out of my head. So that was why I added it. Frankincense has many other properties. It's good for cleansing. It's good for purification. It is good for neutralizing energy. It is good for consecration, I believe. I believe meditation it helps with as well. There's many other things, but my major thing was that manifestation. So I added that at the end of everything, and then I cleansed and charged. And this is what I got. So yeah, I am going to let it sit here with the 3 stones that I showed you earlier just to charge a bit. I've got my spring seasonal candle burning because even though it's May and yes, Beltane and all that jazz, I still see that personally as spring. So that is why I still am working with the spring candle. And then back here, because we are working with the flower moon, I've got a couple of flowers that I picked up for Earth Day. We've got columbine here, which is a great flower or plant for love and happiness. It is sacred to Venus or Aphrodite. It is also a sacred plant for the Fae. Hummingbirds apparently love it, and bees also can be helped with it. So I like, and anything that might help with the propagation and aiding of bees, I like that. Bumblebees have a very special place in my heart. And then over here we have this little yellow flower. I can't pronounce the actual name. I must say I was drawn to the flower just because it was kind of cool. It's got these little pillow like petals. I thought that was so fun. Did some research. I still can't find magical properties according to traditional methods, but other names for it aside from its proper name, which I can't pronounce, is lady's purse or a pocketbook plant. And so, and I can totally see why, because these little petals look like little handbags or little pocketbooks. But with a name like that, I kind of think it might connect to prosperity. That kind of connects, and the yellow color, it reminds me of gold and pentacles and all those fun things. So we'll see. I'm kind of waiting to see what happens. But I thought I'd bring those 2 plants inside to bless the flower moon incense. And yeah, that is where it's going to stay for the next couple of days. And then it should be all charged up and ready to honor the moon. Yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please feel free to comment below. I would love to chat more. I'm thinking that I should be done with this video in like 25 minutes. I've done this a few times now and it was like 45 minutes and up, so I've definitely got more thoughts and tangents to go on concerning this subject. I'm just trying to save everyone. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. And I hope everyone has a great Beltane, because that's right around the corner, and just welcome the light of the year, and I hope it brings everyone nothing but blessings and prosperity. Um, if you celebrate the Sabbath, certainly those that don't, I mean no offense. But yeah, blessed be. Bye, guys.